In the vast, open plains of West Texas, where the sky seemed endless and the earth stretched far into the horizon, there lay the small town of Marfa. Known for its mysterious lights and artistic community, Marfa held a deeper, darker secret, a legend whispered among the locals but rarely spoken of openly. It was a scorching summer in 2023 when Jacob, a young archaeology student from the University of Texas, arrived in Marfa. He was part of a research team investigating ancient Native American sites in the area. One evening, while exploring a remote canyon, Jacob stumbled upon something unusual. Among the rocky outcrops, partially hidden by overgrown vegetation, he found a narrow, almost invisible entrance to a cave. Curiosity piqued, Jacob ventured inside. The cave was cool and dark, the air thick with the scent of earth and time. As he moved deeper, his flashlight revealed walls adorned with strange, ancient carvings, images of a man with the head of a bull, standing tall among terrified human figures. Jacob's heart raced. He had heard of similar myths in Greek mythology, but never in Native American folklore. He knew he had to share this discovery with his team. Back in town, Jacob eagerly presented his findings to Professor Harris and the rest of the team. The professor, a seasoned archaeologist, examined the photos and carvings with a mix of fascination and concern. "This is extraordinary," he said, "but we must proceed with caution. The locals have stories about a creature that matches this description." That evening, Jacob and the professor visited a local elder named Maria, who was known for her knowledge of the area's history and legends. When they showed her the photos, Maria's face paled. She crossed herself and whispered, "El Minotauro." Maria told them a chilling tale passed down through generations. According to the legend, long before the Spanish arrived, a group of Native American shamans tried to summon a powerful spirit to protect their land. The ritual went horribly wrong, and instead, they conjured a monstrous creature, a minotaur. The beast terrorized the region, feeding on livestock and, sometimes, people. Over time, it became a shadowy myth, a story to scare children, but Maria insisted it was real. Despite the warning, Jacob's excitement overshadowed his fear. The next morning, he gathered a small group of adventurous students and convinced Professor Harris to organize an expedition into the cave. Equipped with flashlights, cameras, and basic camping gear, they set off early, determined to uncover the truth. The deeper they ventured into the cave, the more unsettling it became. The air grew colder, and the carvings more elaborate, depicting scenes of worship, sacrifice, and terror. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, and a low, guttural growl echoed through the cavern. The team froze. Jacob's heart pounded in his chest. "Did you hear that?" he whispered. Before anyone could respond, a massive shadow emerged from the darkness. Standing nearly 8 feet tall, with the body of a man and the head of a bull, the Minotaur's eyes glowed a sinister red. It charged towards them with a deafening roar. Panic erupted. Flashlights dropped, and the team scattered, scrambling for the cave's entrance. Jacob ran, the creature's footsteps thunderously close behind him. He stumbled over rocks, his lungs burning from exertion and fear. He could hear his friends' screams echoing through the cave, but he dared not look back. As he neared the entrance, a powerful hand grabbed his shoulder, pulling him into the darkness. Jacob's scream was cut short. Hours later, Professor Harris and the remaining team members emerged from the cave, battered and traumatized. They had lost Jacob and 2 other students. The survivors were in shock, struggling to comprehend what they had encountered. The professor, his face pale and eyes haunted, ordered everyone to pack up and leave Marfa immediately. They returned to the university, carrying with them the scars of their encounter and the memory of their lost friends. Back in Marfa, the locals whispered of the expedition's fate. Maria, the elder, shook her head sadly. "El Minotauro has awakened," she murmured. The town fell into a tense silence, the legend now a palpable reality. Months passed, and life in Marfa resumed its normal pace. The expedition was officially deemed a tragic accident, and the university quietly discouraged any further inquiries into the matter. However, Jacob's disappearance gnawed at his sister, Emily. Determined to find answers, she traveled to Marfa, retracing her brother's steps. Emily met with Maria, who reluctantly shared the full extent of the legend. The Minotaur is bound to the land, she explained. It feeds on fear and blood. Your brother disturbed its slumber. To stop it, one must confront it, but it cannot be killed by ordinary means. Undeterred, Emily prepared for her own journey into the cave. She armed herself with a blend of modern weaponry and traditional talismans Maria had given her. With a heavy heart, she entered the cave, determined to find her brother and end the creature's reign of terror. Inside the cave, Emily moved cautiously, her flashlight revealing the same eerie carvings that Jacob had described. The air was thick with an oppressive energy. As she ventured deeper, she found remnants of the abandoned expedition, dropped flashlights, torn backpacks, and a bloodstained notebook. Emily's resolve hardened. She called out for Jacob, her voice echoing through the cavern. A deep growl responded, and the Minotaur emerged from the shadows, its eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. Emily stood her ground, raising her weapon. "I know you're here, Jacob," she shouted. "I'm not leaving without you." The Minotaur charged, but Emily was ready. She fired a round of bullets, each tipped with silver, hoping they would slow the beast. The bullets hit their mark, but the creature barely flinched. It swiped at her with its massive hand, sending her sprawling to the ground. Dazed, Emily scrambled to her feet, clutching a talisman and chanting a protective incantation Maria had taught her. The Minotaur hesitated, its eyes narrowing. Emily seized the moment, brandishing a silver dagger. "By the power of this land, I command you to release my brother," she cried, plunging the dagger into the beast's chest. The Minotaur roared in pain, but instead of collapsing, it seemed to grow stronger. Emily's heart sank as she realized the talisman and dagger were not enough. The creature's grip tightened around her, lifting her off the ground. In her final moments, she saw a familiar face in the shadows, Jacob, his eyes hollow and lifeless, a puppet of the Minotaur's will. As darkness closed in, Emily understood the true horror of the legend. The Minotaur was not just a creature of flesh and blood, it was a manifestation of the land's ancient, cursed spirit. It could not be defeated by conventional means, and those who tried only fed its power. In Marfa, life continued as usual, but the whispers grew louder. The legend of the Minotaur and the doomed expedition became a cautionary tale, a dark secret buried beneath the town's quirky charm. Maria, the elder, continued to warn those who would listen, but her words fell on deaf ears. Years passed, and the cave's entrance was eventually sealed, a futile attempt to bury the legend. But the Minotaur's presence lingered, a malevolent shadow over Marfa. Every few decades, reports of strange disappearances and sightings of a monstrous figure would surface, only to be dismissed as local folklore. The story of Jacob and Emily became part of the legend, a tragic reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the Texas wilderness. The Minotaur, an eternal guardian of the cursed land, remained, waiting for the next curious soul to stumble upon its lair. And so, the cycle continued, an endless dance between the living and the damned, the hunters and the hunted. The Minotaur of Marfa, born of ancient fear and blood, thrived in the shadows, its hunger never sated, its existence a perpetual nightmare.